The comeback story of Cyberpunk 2077 is one of the best in gaming history. This thing launched so broken that it turned into a worldwide controversy, but it has since been updated so many times and it's turned into the game that it always should have been at the start and more. But following a gameplay overhaul and a massive expansion, Cyberpunk is in a much better place than ever before, and it seems like CD Projekt Red isn't done with it just yet. Now, there's been reports coming out about a new DLC for Cyberpunk that could lead into the official sequel, codenamed Project Orion, and the official Cyberpunk social media account seems to be posting cryptic hints to that effect as well. So today we're going to dive back into Night City and go over everything you need to know about the new update or potential DLC for Cyberpunk 2077, including all of the evidence we have, when it could be coming out, and how it all could lead us into Cyberpunk 2077 Project Orion. We have a lot to cover, so check the video chapters for easy viewing. Also, don't forget to enter the PS5 giveaway. Those details are in the pinned comment, and let's get right into it. So recently, the official Cyberpunk 2077 Twitter account posted a brief video with a very strange caption. Now, the video is a collage of various characters in the Cyberpunk universe along with their birthdays, but there are 6 characters whose information is encrypted. Now, the caption of the video directly references this by saying this: "Don't worry about the encrypted data warning, it's just a glitch in the system," or is it? Now, this has to be a tease for something yet to come, because there is simply no reason to put something like this in the video, let alone acknowledge it in such a cheeky way, unless you're planning on doing something with it in the future. And while some people have said that this is a tease of a new expansion similar to Phantom Liberty DLC, just pump the brakes. I don't know if I would go quite so far. That being said, there is a new version of Cyberpunk 2077 right around the corner in the form of the Nintendo Switch 2 port. Nintendo showed off Cyberpunk 2077 heavily during their Switch 2 presentation, so CD Projekt Red is going to have a pretty big spotlight on them in the next couple of months as this new version of the game comes out, but this could also be the perfect opportunity and time to start teasing new aspects of the world. These 6 characters that are blacked out in the teaser video could end up being major players in the next game, or they could end up being new pieces of the current game's world with a content patch, which I think that's the most likely scenario in this whole situation. And there's not a whole lot of new content that is confirmed for the Switch 2 version of Cyberpunk 2077, but CDPR is known for throwing little bonuses into the ports of their existing games, and I think this could be what's going on here. Now, when the Switch 2 version of the game comes out, it will likely come with some kind of update that will apply to all versions of the game, and that's where we could end up learning more about these 6 characters. Perhaps they're going to be new side characters that add new gigs to the existing game, or perhaps these are characters that you encounter that drop little teasers for the next full-fledged game in the series, which is supposed to be Project Orion. Now, another possibility is that these 6 blacked out characters in the teaser are actually related to the upcoming anime as opposed to being a part of the game storyline. Now, as most of you guys are already aware, there was already an anime for Cyberpunk called Edge Runners, and it was really good. Like, honestly, if you guys haven't watched it yet, please go out and watch it. Trust me, it's incredible. And while that show only had 1 season, it was confirmed in late 2024 that another Cyberpunk anime is in the works, and it will likely drop by the end of the year. So it's very possible that this new batch of characters is going to be tied to the anime as opposed to the game, but either way, there seems to be some kind of new intel about this universe right around the corner, and CD Projekt Red is laying the foundation for it. Now, as for how this new batch of characters plays into the future of the series, we do have a little more to go off of than just the random teaser video. In a recent investors call, CD Projekt Red confirmed that Project Orion, the codename for Cyberpunk 2077 sequel, is still a priority, and it's currently in development at CDPR North America, which there is a Boston studio and a Canadian studio. Now, you might think that they're definitely busy with the development of The Witcher 4 as well as the management of the remake of the first Witcher game, but they confirmed that pre-production on Project Orion will be starting soon, and The Witcher 4's development will not affect the Cyberpunk 2077 sequel development either. They have 2 different studios working on both projects, so both can be developed at the same pace essentially. But with the confirmation that the pre-production for Project Orion will be starting soon, that could mean by the time you're watching this video, Cyberpunk Project Orion will be in the pre-production phase officially. It was also confirmed during the investors call that the company is heavily ramping up the number of developers they have on their payroll, so they're clearly gearing up for something huge to go alongside The Witcher 4. Again, both games are being developed separately. They're gonna stagger their releases, but but you get what I'm saying. Like, The Witcher 4's development is not going to affect Cyberpunk Project Orion. Obviously, whenever it comes to budgeting and stuff like that, I'm sure both the games will affect each other, but it was confirmed by CDPR that The Witcher 4 had moved into full-scale production in late 2024, so don't expect to see that game until 2027 at the earliest. But CD Projekt Red surely doesn't want to slow down on the development of the other projects, which explains why they're bringing on so many new talent as they approach the official pre-production phase of Cyberpunk Orion. Like, it's no secret that game development takes a really long time nowadays, and massive CDPR games take even longer, so I would expect to just get the games when we get them. Honestly, I think the biggest win is the fact that both games are being developed at the same time. Like, if it was a different story back in the day where CDPR would work on one game and then finish that project and then work on the next game, like for instance, The Witcher 3, they finished that project, and then immediately after they started working on Cyberpunk 2077. So the fact that they could walk and chew bubblegum at the same time is exciting. Hopefully they keep the same standard that they set with Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty, but I do have some concerns that they're splitting both studios. Like, I think that's an obvious and genuine concern, but I think CDPR Boston has what it takes. Like, there's some really amazing talent over there, like veteran talent from across the industry, so I think they can make it work. But again, you know, switching engines as well as switching development locations is a bit concerning. Now, while there doesn't seem to be any direct confirmation of another major Cyberpunk expansion in the works, I think it's safe to assume that we're not going to get another expansion. They already said it many times, and if you were looking for new DLC or another expansion, just stop wanting it because we're not going to get it. CDPR already confirmed that they are not giving us another DLC or any expansion like that. Phantom Liberty was their one and only expansion, and honestly, I wouldn't want anything new anyway, for the simple fact that they're already working on Project Orion, and I wouldn't want development resources and time taken away from that project. However, that doesn't mean we're not getting new content, because there are a ton of stuff to go off of that seem to imply that CDPR has some plans for new content before the sequel. I mean, first and foremost, there's the fact that CDPR has revenue numbers to hit, and the only way that they're going to do that is by releasing new content for their existing games. Like, you have to drive the hype somehow, and doing new game updates is the best way to do that. So them updating the existing Cyberpunk 2077 is a way to get new users to purchase your product. Like it was said during the investors call that they plan to support their existing games, and that's how they plan to hopefully hit their revenue goals. But that's not the only thing that we have to go off of. In 2024, Pavel Sasko asked fans on Twitter about what kind of character customization they would like to see in Cyberpunk 2077, which that definitely suggests that they're working on some kind of new content or update. After all, if they were just considering adjustments for the sequel, they would have just said that. But if you look at the tweet, he explicitly says Cyberpunk 2077, which heavily implies that the team is working on some kind of new update for the existing game, which means those of us who are suspicious of some kind of secret expansion aren't totally existing off of pure copium. But again, it's not happening. We're not going to get a DLC or anything like that. Now, personally, I think CDPR is working on some kind of update for the game that's not quite the size of a full DLC or major overhaul, as there's literally no need for that, but will come with a ton of new features that fans have been asking for that will increase replayability. Maybe the team at CDPR will finally give us an update with NewGame Plus. Maybe it comes with new gigs, new side characters, character customization options. Like, just picture this, okay? I'm kind of stealing this from Starfield, but like, let's say you start the game and you're a street kid. You go through the game, you play it all as a street kid, and then you get to the point where it's the end of the game. You beat the game, and then there's an option with a new cutscene that says, do you want to start over again with NewGame Plus? You select yes, and then it takes all of the information and stuff that you have on your current character, and it allows you to start NewGame Plus with a different life path. Kind of like, you know, with Starfield, you go through the Unity and you become Starborn, but for the NewGame Plus for Cyberpunk, you just, you know, start a new life path rather than starting the game in the same way you did with Starfield, and it just repeats. But with Cyberpunk 2077 having, you know, all the different life paths, it would be a pretty unique way to do NewGame Plus. Now, that would obviously require a ton of new work, but I doubt they're going to do it. Like, honestly, NewGame Plus at this point for Cyberpunk is probably just going to be a pipe dream, but I would love for new content to drop at the same time as the Switch 2 port later this year. CDPR definitely wants to make sure that the Switch 2 port of Cyberpunk is a sweet deal, and one of the ways to do that is to throw some new content in, perhaps as like a timed exclusive for Switch 2, even though that would be a disaster. I doubt they would do that, but you know what I'm saying. Now, I think the reality of the situation is that there's likely going to be a new anime or some project that has those characters, and then once the anime or whatever comes out, that's when they will be added to some kind of anime update, again similar to what they did with Edgerunners. But now let's assume that the copium is legit and there is some kind of new DLC in the works at CDPR. When could we realistically expect something like that? After all, the studio over at CDPR Boston is currently working on the early stages of Project Orion, so when could could they even finish a new expansion for Cyberpunk 1? Well, on top of the workload, we also have to consider the fact that there isn't a ton of time left for this game to be relevant enough to justify a major expansion, especially after we were told by CDPR that they're not doing another one. So if we actually are getting something new, I think it's gonna have to come out within the next year or so. CDPR would have to confirm the expansion by the end of this year and then drop it sometime next year. Otherwise, they would just be treading water and using resources that probably would have been better spent working on Cyberpunk Orion. And I'm sure they also know this as well. Like, I am personally not expecting them to release another full DLC for Cyberpunk, like, at all. I think it's safe to say that we're not getting anything, you know, major in terms of story content, but I am absolutely expecting them to release some kind of new content update around the same time as either the Switch 2's port or perhaps sometime in the future. The recent CDPR investors call did mention that the company plans to keep generating revenue, like I said, by supporting their established IP, meaning Cyberpunk is going to keep chugging along until The Witcher 4 is closer to release. But yeah, guys, that's gonna wrap it up with this video. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe with your noties on, and until next time, this has been Wes, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.